take projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking On Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
I am pretty good. How are you tonight?
I'm pretty good. Might have had 2 or 3 heart attacks last night
Yeah,
on Saturday night watching that Alabama win over Georgia, but
please.
a win it was.
Not a news.
Just if we had asked me before the game, we didn't have our show last week. I was out of town, but if we did a preview, I would have said that any possibility, any result is on the table.
Right.
I just didn't know what to expect with that first game, and it looked for the first half that Alabama and Kalen DeBoer in his first game against Kirby and Georgia was going to spank them. I mean,
Yeah.
Alabama played about as perfect of a half of football as you could play. The one Jalen Milroe interception was a fluke, and the defense got a safety right back. So,
Yeah.
uh, and then before that, let's just talk about that first half real quick. You know, I guess what does it tell you about how Kalen DeBoer and his staff prepared the team for this game and how hyped the players was? What was your
And I,
feeling at halftime?
I mean, obviously they came in ready to go. You just felt a certain confidence with the team just by their faces, warming up. When they came out, you just knew that they were ready to go. Um, and they got right after it. So I mean, they had 2 weeks to prepare. So I mean, the good thing is we see Kevin DeBoer in a way similar to Nick in that coming off a bye week, this is not Alabama's not a team you want to face. So that's a good thing to see. The offense is rolling. We're getting everybody involved. So obviously they, you know, listened to us obviously and thought, hey, we got to spread the ball out a little bit. But that was good to see. It was Jalen was trying to get other involved. It was good to see the tight end CJ get involved. You know, but Emmanuel Henderson had a big catch there. They got Bernard involved, and of course the freshman
Mhm.
phenom. My goodness. But
We'll get to him. Don't worry.
but I mean, we were running the ball well.
Mhm.
And the way Jalen played in the first half, I mean, the game just looked so easy to him. I mean, he was just
Mhm.
hitting everything. He was running, but it seemed like he was in slow motion. But he was, going in his nose. But it was
the
just,
the fourth down play when he took the read option, bounced it outside and got
oh
around the
my
corner,
god,
and then took it to the house was amazing.
yeah,
It just shows you how fast he is because
yeah,
getting to the corner, getting the first down is great enough. And that's
you're right,
it's it was like a 4th and 2 or whatever, but you got
yeah,
to run 25 yards to
exactly,
get that, and then he gets the corner, and you're like, okay, one of those guys has the angle, they'll get him, and no, he just
no,
outruns them.
and we're not, and it's not just against anybody.
No,
It's
yeah, it's
Georgia.
against Georgia. Yeah, these are
Yeah,
NFL players that he's.
this is
Um,
supposedly one of the best defenses we'll see all year, according
yeah,
to everything we hear.
maybe
And
the best. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, got distracted by whatever the hell Lamar Jackson just did on this last play. Um, but yeah, you said it. It looks so easy for Alabama on both sides of the ball. Defense, we need to mention them.
Man,
Good lord,
cool.
they
They
were. I
were
saw
all over the
somebody on
place.
Twitter saying Carson Beck was seeing ghosts. That
He
infamous.
was.
He was. I mean, because some of those interceptions he was throwing wasn't. There was a couple. It was good plays by the defense, but he threw one or two just right at Bama guys.
Right.
All credit to Kane Womack and the defensive staff because they
And
really
they
just
were ready. They
they
steadied
dialed it
up and
up.
they
Yeah,
were
they switched up tendencies. Kirby made a note of that in his halftime interview that
saw some
on the
stuff they
offense
hadn't
at
seen.
least, yeah, he's like, yeah, they were showing things they hadn't seen. So yeah, absolutely great job by Kalen DeBoer and his staff and the players who are
Right.
just coming out on fire in a big game like that against a big team like that and just whooping their
Yes.
ass for 30 minutes.
Yeah. The only
Um,
thing I didn't like at the end of the first half, and that
mhm,
kind of I
mhm,
think opened up Georgia a little bit in that second half.
mhm.
When the last 2 or 3 drives, we got deep in and we didn't score a touchdown. I
Yeah.
feel like if we had scored one more touchdown that first half, that would have been a knockout blow. And we
Yeah,
didn't quite
I
get that
was
touchdown, and
yeah, I
that
was
kind
texting
of
my dad
opened up the
about
door a
that.
little bit.
I was texting my dad about that, how we needed, yeah, one more score to kind of get them running in that locker room with their heads hanging down, and looking down,
Right.
and they didn't quite get that. Now, part of that, we can put on the refs. They missed a pretty
Oh my
uh,
God. The pass
obvious
interference?
pass interference
Jeez.
call. Yeah, that they then called a similar call later in the game, which annoyed me on us. But
No.
yeah, that was a pretty big miss that could have led to some more points for the Tide. But
Right.
regardless, still a 20. What was it, a halftime? 23
30
point
to, yeah,
halftime
30
lead.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the second half happened, and Georgia just
Yeah.
started pecking away, and
No.
just kept good. They were going for fourth down. It was like you're playing a kid on Madden. They were just going for a fourth down every time and getting it.
Oh
It
my
was really
goodness.
annoying.
Be
Some
fourth and
penalties
three
really
and fourth and
frustrated.
two.
Yeah.
And
And, it's not like the defense stopped making plays because they were getting, good plays on first and second down.
yeah.
They had a Carson Beck fumble that, the offense couldn't convert into anything. Or maybe they got a field goal out of that, I think. But the Georgia just started. They calmed down. They found their rhythm. Carson Beck
Right.
settled down, um, and then the Alabama offense just went stale. And I was talking to people, and I think a little bit. What we talked about it a couple weeks ago. The worry for the Alabama offense is that the inability to sustain drives, and that showed up a little
Yeah.
bit. Georgia made the adjustments, and Alabama couldn't. Maybe they got a little conservative, but they couldn't really keep their foot on the Georgia's throat. And
Right.
the Alabama offense sputtered out, and let Georgia get back in it because the defense was just gassed.
Yeah.
And then, what it's concerning. You want to, obviously, you want the offense to keep scoring. You want the defense to keep making
Exactly.
plays. But a team of Georgia's caliber, they're gonna at least make a little run. They're gonna
Right.
make adjustments, and they're gonna swing back, right? So you expected them to at least get it, a little bit closer. But where the worry comes in is that you let them climb all the way back,
Yeah.
and then like the last 3 minutes of the game happened.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Dude, when they
Absolutely
took that,
insane.
yeah, when they took the lead out of them, what the hell did we just see?
Yeah, right. It just
I was like, is this Iron Ball 2010 all over again? Like what?
Yeah, it was almost similar to the blackout game where but we actually let them come back this time.
Right, because we slaughtered them, and then no one talks about that, but yeah, 2008 game they did come nearly
Yeah, if
back.
you
I mean,
it was what I think Alabama was up 31-0 at halftime in that game, and
yeah,
then the final score was what, like 41-30. So
yeah,
Georgia,
they
real
climbed
big,
back into that
yeah.
one.
But they were able to get that one more score they needed, and
Yeah,
offense wasn't able to do it this time. And so, like you said, Georgia on a big play, uh, just a big heartbreaking play, big deep pass, broke a tackle, got in the end zone with a couple minutes left. And speaking of big plays, Bills just got down
yeah,
inside
just
the Ravens 5. Um, yeah, speaking of teams that like to blow leads, we'll see how the Ravens handle this 21-3 halftime lead. We'll get to the NFL. But so that happens, like it's like you said, your heart just drops. You just look at it, you're like, I can't believe this is happening. We were whooping their ass, and it went from like, oh, this is just absolutely perfect first SEC game for Kalen DeBoer to the absolute
right.
worst kind of game you could have. It'd be one thing if you came in and Georgia just beat you in a back and
Yeah,
forth game or whatever, but to blow that lead, uh, it was bad.
yeah, it
And
was like,
then,
oh my God.
yep,
And
and
then
then
the
four
other
plus.
thing that's so
Oh, go ahead.
frustrating was just the just the management of the time. I mean, we're running
Oh
quick
yeah,
plays. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why aren't we running the ball? Why aren't we trying to slow things down? And we're just going fast, fast, fast. And I'm like, chill out. Like, we
I
got the
was
lead. Like, we need to be chilling. What is
I
going
was
on? Why are we continue to
very
pass?
angry about. Yeah, we were snapping the ball with over 20 seconds left in the play. I didn't even mind the passing so much, because Georgia kind of shut down the run, but we were
Right. I
snapping the
mean,
ball with over 20 minutes left on the play
Yeah,
clock each
so much
time, and
time.
we kept trying. I think Jalen started playing a little bit of hero ball there. He could have, I think he should have handed it off on a couple of those
Mhm.
jet sweep, read option type
Yeah,
plays that we were running, and he
there's
kept
a
trying to get
couple.
to the outside, and
There's a
Georgia
couple
was
there.
shutting it down. Yeah,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and it
And
speaks to we've talked
kudos,
about it too.
kudos to Georgia though, because I
Absolutely.
mean, they, fought back. I mean, you felt, yeah, like you said, we felt like that at some point, they're gonna hit back, because I mean, they're
Hmm.
not gonna. Georgia just has a lot of pride. We know Kirby, man, he's not gonna just get his
Hmm.
head knocked off a whole game.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, those players
they
aren't going to sit
adjusted
back and
well.
take that.
No, no. I mean, we know that Carson Beck is much better than what we saw in that first half. We know that. I mean, there was a lot, a lot of things that it was amazing, but at the same time, you're like, man, it's probably somewhere more in the middle as far as everything. Because I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, Georgia's not nearly as bad. I mean, what we were doing was amazing, but obviously, we're not going to come out like that every week, same
Hmm.
time. So it's more somewhere in the middle. But yeah, we did an incredible finish there.
Four
Once
plus
again,
two
Georgia
equals
gets
six.
burned. And once again, Georgia gets burned by a, freshman.
Hmm.
It's not,
And
it's
just
not the first time that's happened to him.
no, and yeah, right. And Ryan Williams. Not only that, he's not just beating some run of the mill guy. He's beating future NFL
No.
players.
Malachi Starks. Cooking
The yeah,
Malachi.
the body
One of the
control that
best.
Ryan. Someone saw. I forget who said it. Um, on Twitter, but they're like the last catch that Ryan Williams made, the game-winning catch, was so good that we forgot about his amazing catch from the first half, where he juggled the
Yeah.
ball, spun around, found it in the
Run
air, still
around.
caught it, then made a move and got a couple extra
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah.
But
Simply
his
amazing.
his body control in that last catch to jump, leap in the air, like kind of that back shoulder throw, almost leapt in
Yeah.
the air, made the catch,
Hit
landed
the
like a
spin move on him.
feather. Yeah, the slow motion spin move where he almost like he floated. It was like a float over. A
And then
little
he's gone.
hesitation lets them run into each other, and then just turns on the Jets.
My goodness.
Absolutely, yeah. Alabama immediately. That was the first play after the touchdown too. First play from scrimmage.
Right.
Alabama immediately takes the lead right back. Worth noting too that Alabama uh, stop the 2 point conversion after Georgia scored the go ahead
That was
touchdown.
huge.
That might have
That was,
changed some play
yeah.
calling, but absolutely just unbelievable play. Ryan Williams was like 6 receptions, a buck, 70 something, a
Yeah.
touchdown.
Just
Unbelievable.
ridiculous.
Yeah. And
And,
then, Georgia comes right back though. They,
right.
go down the
Came out, I
field.
was like, what in the world?
Yeah, they turned it on. Like I said, defense was gassed, and then another true freshman, makes the
Fabian Brown.
play. Yep, interception in the end zone, seals it for him. Alabama
Oh,
was able to take a knee
boy.
after that, and just
Yeah.
absolutely amazing game. Great first one, instant classic. Beautiful ball game. Just each team had their day. Each unit,
Yeah,
shined for a little bit.
for sure.
D- Definitely a possibility these two teams obviously meet either in Atlanta or somewhere in the playoffs along the line.
Very,
Uh,
very, very good possibility.
yeah,
You would think.
you definitely, and like I said, and it's almost from a coaching perspective, like a perfect result for Kalen DeBoer and his staff, because you
All
come
right.
out, you showed how good at you are game planning, because that game plan was absolutely amazing. They came out on
Phenomenal.
fire.
Yeah,
Um, but then you have things you can coach up. You got to figure out,
exactly.
what happened with this collapse. You got to figure out on both ends, not just defense, but offense too, why that
Right.
happened. So you got things to coach, going into the next
Yeah.
game.
It's always a good
Um,
thing because, if we
yeah.
had won, like, let's say we won, 56-14,
Hmm.
what can you really tell folks? you
Yeah.
know, I mean, so
Yeah. It's,
yeah,
it's, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to get in your guy's head after that. It's hard to be, like, hey, listen up. Here's we got to work on things. It's hard to tell, especially a bunch of college kids. Like, hey,
right.
there's work to do after they just beat the number one
Yeah.
team.
By slaughtered them.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, just
But
slaughtered them.
yeah, But yeah, I mean, it definitely is a, would have liked to have not gotten it that close. Even if it got to like 14, I mean, that point would have
Hmm.
been the same. Got a little closer than we would have liked there. But we yeah, definitely leaves some things. Hey, we did great here, here, and here. It's what we need to figure out. But the best thing though is that we saw. And we know we're a quick hitting team, and we needed that quick hit at the end. And
Hmm.
some past last year's team, I don't know that Georgia would have won that game.
Hmm.
I don't think we have a touchdown in us after that.
Yeah,
um,
for sure. It's amazing to have a weapon like Ryan Williams, like Hollywood.
yeah, yeah, and just a play calling that we were ready to go to that right away. You know, First play out the gate, boom, and then also and it's also amazing too. Just just what a year does. Because I mean, this is the same Jalen Milroe in the same month, different week, but basically a year later. You see what he in that Texas game at home compared to this Georgia game, and just how vastly different and how improved he is. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just amazing. We went from people
Absolutely, yeah.
thinking he was never going to be the starter again, and why is he the starting quarterback? To This man is probably right now the front runner for the Heisman.
I was
This
about to say
man,
this was his Heisman game.
yeah,
Another,
80%, 300 plus passing, 100 on the ground. I mean, just a phenomenal game. I mean, he did everything you asked of him. Um, just a, it just shows that hey, he's not just a runner. You gotta, and man, so the sky is definitely a limit. We still have a lot of season left, of course, but I mean, it was a lot of
no,
good
yeah.
things that came out of it.
And but now it changes kind of the story. A lot of people had almost, uh, you know, penciled in a loss for Alabama in this game. How would
Right.
Kalen DeBoer handle that? Well, now we're the new number one team. Jumped everybody in
Jumped
the
a lot.
rankings.
And jumped from what,
Uh,
5 to 1? Wow. I was
yep.
kind of shocked we
Hmm.
jumped up all the way to 1. I knew we'd go up,
Yeah.
of course, a little, but damn.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
it
so
just
they go next week. They go to Vanderbilt. So a couple of weeks, they go to Vanderbilt, then they get South Carolina at home, and then the next big one in Knoxville on the 19th of October.
and
Um,
the way
but
things are
yeah,
looking now, that's gonna be a wild one.
yeah, we'll get to the Vols in just a second. Georgia next week. They rebound again. We know how good they are. They'll rebound. They'll probably make the playoff. They do have a tough schedule though, so we'll see what those other coaching staffs can pick from this,
Yeah,
and we'll see how how does
definitely the toughest.
Carson Beck bounce back after a really rough game for him, even though he played great in the second half. How does that defense? They got to face a bunch of high profile offenses
Yeah,
later too. So
yeah,
I
but I
will
mean,
say
they
though. Oh, go
have
ahead.
a couple. I was saying, at least Georgia does have a couple of games. Should be good. Auburn
Uh,
coming to town. Mississippi State coming to town before the big
yes,
one in
and
Austin. So a couple of get right games.
yeah, and then they have that big one in Austin on
Yeah,
also the
the
19th.
ninth.
So yeah,
Wow,
that's the next huge day in the SEC right there.
the 19th is gonna be a
Hmm.
crazy day. Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so like I said, great win. A couple heart attacks. Felt sick for a little bit in the second half, but hey, instant classic. Like I said, heavyweight fight. They're gonna swing back, and they did. They connected, and we
Mhm.
stood in there and landed the final punch.
Yeah, exactly.
And so yeah, like you said, this last year's team may not have done that. So that's absolutely awesome. I hope that it never watch a game like this again unless it's two other teams.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
If
well,
that had
at
been
least
some,
let's yeah, at least let it be like a playoff game until we see something like this again.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, whew, my
Have
heart
that
can't
not
take
too
it.
much drama in the regular season. Yeah, I mean we do have a couple of games that could have a little drama, of course.
Mm,
Down the line that Tennessee game. Um, a couple of weeks. I mean, depending on the health of sellers and how they
mm,
look against Ole Miss coming up. I mean, that South Carolina game may be a little trickier than what a lot of people are thinking going into it, just because
Hmm.
who knows about South Carolina there. But luckily, that at least it's in Tuscaloosa, so that's a big
Yeah,
plus.
but yeah,
But
yeah. Just we'll move on. Like I said, yeah, like you said, just a great win. It's a great, first signature win for Kalen DeBoer.
yeah,
Absolutely great win for the stage. Jalen Milroe really, he had been in Heisman talk, but now he's really at the forefront
it's
of
a
it.
real contender.
Uh,
Yeah,
Ryan Williams, kind of already introduced himself to the world, but now to do it against a team the
Georgia.
caliber of Georgia, yeah, he's for real.
Just in case anybody wants to know, because they didn't say it enough, he's only 17.
Yeah, right. And you're gonna hear it until he turns 18, which isn't until after the season's over. So get
Right.
used to it, folks.
Funny enough, we had
Um,
the same birthday.
oh really?
Yeah, he's just a little
But
bit more
yeah.
famous.
Well, the rest of college football, we missed some stuff. I was out in
Yeah,
last
there's a
week.
lot of stuff, lot of
So a lot
interesting
of
stuff.
notes to catch up on. Let's see, we'll catch up on last week just real quick. Some big things we can talk about. Harold Perkins out for the year, big loss for LSU.
Guys,
Um,
you hate to see it.
yeah,
Anybody but a star like that, man, that's just tough.
terrible. Yeah. Tennessee got that big win in Norman, Oklahoma. The Vols are for real. It looks like they played some defense.
Yeah,
We'll get
yeah,
we'll get back to Oklahoma in just a second.
right. But yeah,
Um,
I mean Tennessee. I mean and really, that game. I mean at the end, if you look at the final score, it doesn't look as devastating. But I feel
they
like he
dominated that
eased
game.
up.
They dominated.
I feel like he eased up because that's his alma mater, and he still has a love for his school. But
Hmm.
I mean, it wasn't any doubt. I mean, they rolled him fast early, and I feel like they could have put 50 on him if they had wanted.
Yeah. Uh, Colorado, of course, had a Hail Mary to
Goodness,
tie it up. They actually, had two in a row. They just didn't catch the first one.
right?
Um, and then an
This
unbelievable throw by Shador Sanders catch.
and
They-
it's crazy. They just showed Cordell's
Yeah,
play like
right.
right before.
Literally right
Okay,
before, yeah, they had a little timeout and they showed the old Cordell Stewart
the
Hail Mary to
Westbrook
beat
play.
Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were 94, and then boom,
Oh,
right
it's
away. It's like,
crazy.
what in the world? Just wild.
And
But
then
then
they
huge.
followed it up, yeah, with a big win over
Oh my
UCF in
goodness.
Orlando. Just whooped them.
Wow.
Um,
Just like now, I think we might have both on our picks column had the plus 14, but I mean, that I wasn't shocked about. But the way that they went down to Orlando and
mhm.
took it to UCF was a shocker. I,
Yeah. I thought that plus 14. I thought that was an easy bet because I'm like, oh, this is going to be a
yeah,
shootout. UCF still might pull it out, but I was like, this is going to be crazy.
yeah.
Um,
I was excited for it because I was like, KJ Jefferson versus Shador Sanders. I mean, this gonna be
yeah,
could be a highlight reel. But man, they took it to them. They dominated. Kudos to the Colorado. I mean, going down there is never easy there.
yeah,
UCF I think is still a good team, but man,
yeah.
they've
They've been
rebounded
impressive.
well from that loss to Nebraska. They rebounded well. Got the miracle win last week, and then kept it rolling this week, and now in that wild Big 12, who knows what they could lead
Yeah,
to.
I was about to say I was going to get to that. That the little thing I have in my notes is Big 12 doing Big 12 things. They have gone
Good God, it's just
full Big
it's
12. Last week, here, hold up, I had it pulled up here.
and last week I thought I had the Big 12 figured out
And then
because I was like,
you know better. You never have that conference figured out. You know better.
right, but you think here we go. K State's looking really great. They're phenomenal. They really took it to who they took it to with Oklahoma State. No,
Hmm.
one Oklahoma State. Excuse me. They took it to that's who they beat this past. They really took it to Arizona. They're
Hmm.
gonna they're going to BYU. BYU's much better than we thought. and they got absolutely housed in
Yeah.
Provo. Absolutely
BYU,
housed.
maybe the return of the year so far by that kid, whatever his name was, fumbled the snap, fumbled the return, the punt return, ran back, got it, ran all the way across the
Yeah,
field, ran what 70,
that
80
was
yards for a
just
touchdown.
amazing.
We saw
Amazing.
Utah without Cam Rising go into Stillwater and win a tough,
Get a
hard-earned victory
win.
over Oklahoma State. We mentioned
Yeah.
the Colorado win. Texas Tech had a good win over Arizona State. SMU smashed TCU, and you're like, okay, it's starting to take shape here. We know
Mm.
what's going on. And then this week
Right.
comes,
And then you
and
don't. Yeah.
yeah, and then Kansas State goes into still or no, no wait, that game was in Manhattan, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State tries to rebound, goes to Kansas State, also trying to rebound. Kansas State smashes them. Utah gets
Yeah.
Arizona at home. Still no Cam Rising, but you're like, you what? They found the running back. They're just going
They're
to
at
lean on
home.
them. Nope. Arizona dominates that
No.
game. 23-10
Kills
wins.
them. Like
Kills them.
what? This is the same
BYU
Arizona
goes,
team that
yeah.
just got blasted the week before.
Crazy. We mentioned, um, TCU rebounded in Kansas. We mentioned the
Yeah.
Colorado win. Texas Tech beat Cincinnati. They're off to a
Yeah.
great start.
That was a
BYU
wild,
followed it up
wild
with a win
game.
over Baylor. Yeah. So who the hell knows? Iowa State, a good win at
Quietly
Houston.
undefeated.
Yeah, and dangerous when Iowa State's quietly undefeated.
Yes.
It's a scary prospect for the rest. So right now, if you're looking at
I
it, the
mean,
top of the league is BYU, Colorado, Texas Tech. No one expected that.
no.
And then
That
Iowa
it.
State, Arizona, West Virginia also 1-0 in conference play.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely crazy. The Big 12 is going to. And we knew that coming in the season, like there
Right.
was no definitive favorite. It'd be crazy, but you
I
always
mean, but they
expect it.
started early.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
The craziness started early. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
wow. But BYU though. I mean, this is a team that was picked what third, basically last in the Big
Hmm.
12. No one gave them a chance in hell. I
Yeah,
mean, and
five
they
and
just
zero.
you know, and now I look back at that the SMU game when they beat SMU the Friday night like week 2. You're like, what is wrong with SMU? The people were so high on them. You realize, but damn, they lost to a pretty good team actually.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, it doesn't look bad anymore. And then you look at BYU, and I don't understand how Vegas. Like I understand it was in Waco yesterday, but I saw that -3, and I was like, what are they looking at? There's no way that there's no way
Yeah.
that BYU is going to go into Waco and lose. They're much better than Baylor at this point. Baylor.
Yeah.
But
Baylor's
yeah, just
struggling for
to
answers right now.
yeah.
What's his face? Might be a little
Dave
bit on the hot
Aranda,
seat. That
Dave
yeah. He
Aranda
might,
might be on the way out.
his seat's
Just
getting
because,
hotter and hotter. Yeah.
yeah.
Especially
And
after
I
the
mean,
letdown of just a couple years ago. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he was on cloud nine with a couple years ago. They beat Ole Miss in the was that the Sugar Bowl that they beat them in, and then
Yeah.
it looks like they have their coach, they have things figured out. Hey, as a defensive guy against Colorado, that has to drive him crazy.
Oh yeah.
Coming
Um,
on off the timeout, in fact, and
Yeah, a
and
timeout. Like we said, the play, but they essentially ran the same play. It wasn't just a chuck it in the air and hope somebody gets it
no,
Hail Mary. They were
they
running
just
routes.
ran
And
the
like I
yeah
said, the play before Shador threw it up to was it number 14? I forget his name, and he had it. He made a good play to get up. He just couldn't bring in the catch, and he would have had
yeah
it at least at the 2 or 3 if he didn't,
right
fall into the end zone. And then basically
Mhm.
same thing. Shador rolls out, has time, launches the ball just before he gets hit. Um, a receiver makes a
Phenomenal.
great adjustment on it. Phenomenal catch. And
Like
then in
wow, did I
overtime,
just
we forgot to mention too. Arguably the best player in college football, Travis Hunter. He's the one that
yeah
puts his hat on the
forced
ball,
the
causes a
fumble,
fumble. Yep, pulled the old
and
Roman
that's a dude.
Harper.
And yeah,
Um,
the Roman Harper, and that and just what Travis Hunter is. I mean, just it's just amazing watching we every week. Like this dude
oh,
is
he's absolutely. We
unreal,
talked about Jalen. This will be a good point.
unreal.
Heisman favorites right now got to be Jalen, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward. We should mention Cam Ward in Miami. A lucky, crazy win this past Friday over Virginia Tech.
Oh
Maybe the
yeah,
help of
just a
the help the
man.
review. A lot of people say what you will about that.
That was
Oof.
the
But
wildest thing
regardless,
I
yeah,
think I've ever seen. Because
yeah,
man, I caught the end of it because I went to the our local high school game when my daughter wanted to go. So I
mhm.
just, well, you go hang out, our group and just watch the game, whatever. Come home to watch the end of that one, and I'm thinking, I was checking the score every now and again. Man, the Hokies are hanging. I said, this is weird. And Canada, Miami would answer, they would fight. When they got down to that last, and I think I woke up the house. Oh my God, that is crazy. The Hokies just won, and then I still don't know how they overturned that.
It's
I get
crazy.
it
Like
if
I
you
guess
had
I
called
saw,
the
yeah,
like if you had called incomplete, I can see it stand with that. But the fact that you called the touchdown, I don't know how they got away from it. Like I saw the ball move and stuff, but I was like, my goodness. And then that conspiracy in me is thinking, did the ACC call down and say, listen,
nah. They said we need Miami
this is
back,
our
baby.
the U is back. We need this. This might be our only chance. Even though Clemson's showing a little life, but you know,
Hmm.
it makes you wonder, did, was that call made?
Yeah, right.
Because
It was.
I don't
Oof.
know,
It's
just a
it's a
wild game,
tough
but
break for Virginia Tech, who
man,
uh, all credit to them for even being in the game after their shaky ass start to the season.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
it looked bad, after I lost to Vanderbilt's, and you're just wondering. But yeah, they gave Miami all they wanted, and even better. I mean, the game was in Miami, and for a Miami game, we know the history of their crowds and how fickle that fan base is. They were pretty hyped. That was one of the more hyped Miami fan crowds I've seen in quite some time. So I know that they like to show up when they're winning, but man, it was probably the most intense atmosphere I've seen in that stadium for the Hurricanes in a while.
mhm,
Had an old Orange Bowl feel to it, almost like a Florida State week. But
mhm.
man.
Yeah, it was just absolutely insane. Um,
Yeah, but I mean that's another yeah, Cam Moore definitely another guy you have to have on that list of possible. I mean he's phenomenal. I
it,
mean
yeah.
those couple plays at the end of the game. I mean and that fourth down catch fell down the wide receiver falls down, puts his hands up, and the
Yeah.
ball's just right there. It's like what?
Oh, right. Just you knew it was kind of the Canes' night there.
Yeah,
But
my
yeah,
goodness.
they are the real deal. Cam
Yeah,
Ward is certainly a real deal. He's definitely in that Heisman races as well. And they go to Cal this next weekend.
game
So
day.
yeah, game day, first time ever
First time in Cal.
in Berkeley, which means
Hmm.
there are only 5 Power 5 schools that have never hosted college game day. Can you name them, Greg?
I think they were talking about on some show when I was in the car today. I would have, nah, man, I'm trying to think.
They come from 2 conferences. That's it.
I know, I'm pretty sure it's the Big Ten and the ACC.
That's correct.
Thinking, I'm thinking Indiana, but I don't know.
No,
Indiana has hosted again.
Indiana
They've
has hosted.
hosted.
I want
Uh,
to say they might have done it maybe when Michael Penix was there.
yeah, because I was thinking maybe that Ohio State game may have been one.
Hmm.
Well,
You're very close with that.
it's got is it is it Purdue?
Not Purdue. They've hosted as well.
They've hosted
Illinois is
Illinois.
one of them.
Illinois. Hmm.
And the rest of them are all East Coast teams, which should give you 2 of them pretty easily, I think.
I would have to say Rutgers.
Yep. Maryland, the other one.
Maryland has never. You know how much
Surprisingly,
they've
yeah.
surprisingly because they've had some at times. It's
They're
been
in the Ralph
it's
Friedgen
not been
years.
consistent,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, you would have
Yeah,
thought one time at least in the Ralph years that they would have hosted
yeah.
one
Uh,
time, not a Florida State game or nothing. No,
no, no,
wow.
crazy not. And the other two are ACC teams.
I'm saying Virginia
Virginia's correct.
and
The other one's a little surprising too, but maybe not, but a little bit to me.
Georgia Tech.
Mm-mm.
No,
Syracuse.
that's right.
You thought
So that
maybe
is the list I heard.
in the
Yeah,
earlier
not any
days of game
time.
day.
Not
Uh-uh.
even Paul. What was that
Uh,
guy?
I know who you're talking about.
Pascaloni. Paul
Not even.
Pascaloni and Donovan McNabb. They never
Yeah,
had a game
that's what
day.
I thought. I thought maybe during their Big East years when
Huh.
Syracuse was not quite a
They were
national power, but they were a
but they
Big
were
East power.
legit. They
Yeah,
gave
they won.
Miami quite a few tussles and Virginia
I think
Tech some tussles
I'm pretty sure they
back
won a
in the
couple
day.
Big East titles back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
is kind
so
of shocking. Not
big
even
big for
one.
Cal. And I don't know
That is big.
what that tells you
It,
about next week's schedule. If Miami at Cal is
if
the
that's
game
where
day.
they
Yeah,
wanted to go, that'd been pretty cool. Man, yeah, you almost hate that they lost to Florida State because that been two undefeated teams for that. But
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Speaking of
but
Florida
yeah,
State, they get
oh
a game next
wow,
weekend that we thought would be a big one before the season, but now is just could be scary. They host Clemson.
oh wow.
Yeah, so Florida State's terrible start to their season continues. They do get a win last week over Cal, like you just mentioned, and then this week they turned around and
And got housed.
just yeah,
Absolutely housed. I didn't see
it's
any, of course, it was the same time our game was on. You know, you look at to see the score and be like, wow,
yeah,
SMU
yeah, it's the same
just
thing.
took
Yeah,
it to them
SMU,
early and
and
often.
you just gotta wonder how bad is this going to get. This is you're nearing like the worst,
Florida State team
uh,
of all time.
or just in the worst drop off of a team that was so good last
Ever.
year. To
You know,
yeah, hmm
I understand a couple losses this year. Like, yeah, I get it, but
yeah,
it's bad. And honestly, they should have lost to Cal. Cal killed themselves
hmm
in the red zone several times with crazy penalties, and they shouldn't have beat Cal.
no, yeah, it's
They should not have beaten Cal. They shouldn't have a win on the season. SMU pounded them.
it
And what's
doesn't
even
look like
worse
it.
is Clemson looks like they've woken up.
I'm about to say Clemson is still just throttling people. So we'll see. Yeah, but I wanted to get one more player in that Heisman race before we leave that. I got to give some love to Ashton Genty, Boise State's running back.
The
That
boys that stay
man
running back,
is
phenomenal.
the truth. He already has 845 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns on the year. They've played 4 games.
Yeah,
Um,
he's going for
he
20.
yeah.
Like, man, yeah, he's going for
He
2,000
lit
easy.
up, yeah, he lit up Washington State last
Oh
night.
my goodness.
They get Utah State next week, the newest
Yeah.
member of the Pac-12. Uh, Interesting, as that saga rolled on. Yeah,
Yeah.
not much to say there. Boise State looks like they're well in shape to represent the group of
Yeah.
6-5,
And
whatever.
then makes you
Uh,
think maybe that when they had that close game in Eugene,
mm,
that's just because Boise's good.
I'm about to say, yeah, starting to learn some things about that. Yeah,
Yeah, because
uh,
man, honestly, I thought Washington State might go into Boise and get that win because
mhm,
before this week, I was really starting to get into John Mateer. He had put
mhm,
up crazy numbers for the Cougs, and
yeah,
he, so but
yeah, absolutely outstanding season by him. A couple more things. Let's see before we'll finish up with the SEC. But before we get to that, ACC, North Carolina struggling to start the year, and apparently Mac
oh
Brown
wow,
told his team that he would quit if they wanted him to.
yeah,
Um,
last week after that, wow,
yeah,
after they
after
gave up
James Madison just whooped the hell out of him, the 70-50 game.
70.
but it was not even that close.
No, no. But imagine scoring 50 and not having a chance to win.
Yeah,
How
right.
crazy is that?
What was the score? The score was like what, like 49-0 at halftime or something crazy
Yeah,
too. It's just
yeah,
it's wild. And then another loss again this week, right? Yeah.
yeah. They Duke came back and beat them.
Yes, yeah, they were up 20. That's right. Yeah, they were up 20-0
They
on
were up
Duke, and
20.
then they
Yeah,
turned around and
lost
lost, and Duke gets a
24-20.
5-0 start for the first time in forever. Um,
Man, shout out to Manny Diaz. I
Manny
mean, he
Diaz, yeah,
came in there, and who knew what Duke was gonna be. People really thought it might be a drop off with Mike Elko going to A&M, and Manny's done a hell of a job to start the season. I'd say kind of very
yeah,
underrated as far as talk, but man, they're handling business. And huge win for the Blue Devils last night over the arch rival.
yeah, absolutely great start for them to the season. Looks like they got the right guy, Manny Diaz, and his what
I
second
don't think
stint as a
Manny's
head coach,
necessarily a
right?
bad. Yeah, I don't even think Manny's a bad coach. I mean, he won games in
Mm,
Miami. It just wasn't to the
yeah,
level that they wanted it.
right. Yeah, and
He
some
was
guys,
having winning
maybe they're made
seasons.
for smaller schools. Like
Right.
yeah.
He's a hell of a defensive coordinator.
Hmm.
We know that he's been on plenty of spots, and maybe this is just what the type of job he needed, where you go 8-4, 9-3, and you got a lifelong contract.
Yeah. Um, and they get Georgia Tech next week. Did they get ranked yet? Did Duke get ranked? Not yet.
Still not, huh? No.
No. All
Hmm.
right. Let's see. Where else did I have here? Da, 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 da. A weird situation out of Las Vegas this week. UNLV, their
Oh,
starting quarterback abruptly says he will not play anymore this season. He'll
so
redshirt because
yeah,
he claims he was lied to by assistant coaches about the
hundred
amount he would
thousand.
get paid. Yeah, said he would get 100,000. He's got
Oh,
what, 212,
three
something
thousand.
small.
Yeah, three
3,000.
thousand for
Yep.
some King Henry again. Hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, the Ravens remembered that they had him. It's nice. Um, yeah, just a weird situation out there. And then another player, like another receiver,
Not
running back,
running
something like
back.
that.
Running
Yeah,
back
also
did the same
same
thing.
thing. Yeah.
But he was
And
like the
then so
fourth string guy. He wasn't even the
yeah.
guy. He's like a third or
So
fourth string guy.
well, yeah, what's
So
the quarterback's
obviously,
name? Saluka. Saluka, yeah, that's
yeah,
the big one.
John
So there's
Saluka.
obviously they need to, figure out what, who's doing what
Absolutely.
over there. So you think
Something's
I think
happening.
yeah.
Something's happening because obviously everybody's not telling the story. But
Hmm.
man, if you're representing this Saluka guy, if you're the lawyer, how do you not have this in writing?
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, seems so good.
That's just mind blowing. You're a lawyer. You deal in paperwork all the time.
Hmm.
What? You don't have a contract? You have had several calls with them that said you have $100,000, but even like a recording doesn't work. And
Yeah,
you're a lawyer. You don't know this. Like you don't know. Like this is mind blowing that if this happened, and it wouldn't shock me because coaches say a lot of stuff to get people on campus.
yeah, and
But
it's weird too because if you hear, I think UNLV came out and said they're like, well, our assistant coaches aren't the ones that are supposed to make those offers anyway, so he wasn't talking to the right guy. Yeah, it just seems like that's a organizational failure there. They
yeah,
need to
so
clean some things up. You think?
obviously something's wrong. But at the same time, Matthew Saluka, you came from Holy Cross. You went to UNLV. The cool start to the season, but you're an average, below average quarterback.
Mhm,
This was your high, your pinnacle, and you played yourself. Because now you sat out a week, and
mhm,
you ran the ball well, but you were at 43% passing on the season. Without you, the backup had what, four incomplete passes, almost 200 yards passing, and over 100 on the ground himself.
mhm.
So he looked like you, and UNLV is gonna be fine without him.
I about to say
That's
that's what I was going to get to. Yeah, I thought I think in the pick 'em or whatever, maybe this week I was like, well, Fresno this might be their opportunity. UNLV might just be
They
distracted.
absolutely
They lost a
housed Fresno.
nope. Yeah, they brushed off. They said, "All right, man, you can sit out all you want. Like we got it."
Yeah.
Um,
So
which doesn't
any
help
type of clout he
doesn't help
had,
your
any type
case.
of any
Yeah,
type of pull he had, or his little limelight is gone because
yeah,
UNLV is. And honestly, the first couple of weeks, yeah, they got a big win. They beat Houston, but Houston's a terrible team. We found
yeah.
out week after week. They're far from what they should be. They have a long way to go. Willie Fritz, I think he'll get it right, but man, he was dealt. If there was any school that has an empty cabinet, wait, what have they been doing as far as recruiting at Houston in the last couple of years? My
You
goodness.
talk about an underachieving place. Like that's somewhere that should be in that just bed of football talent. Uh,
Yeah, and I understand you're not Texas, you're not
yeah,
A&M,
you're a smaller school,
but
private school, right?
but
Yeah,
but same time, SMU's finding success, TCU's found success. There's no excuse. It's no excuse. Like there's enough talent in the state of Texas that you should have a respectable program. You don't have to go
yeah,
undefeated every year. No one's expecting that. But they already have had 3 games where you scored no points. That's
yeah.
wild.
That's yeah.
That's
He's
wild.
got a lot of work on his hands
A lot
there.
of work. A lot of work.
Um,
But that's just and it wasn't it the former it was the former I can't think of his name. He was at West Virginia before there was a coach before him, right?
oh,
I
Dana
can't think of his
Holgerson.
name. Was it Hogerson? Hogerson was there right before this, right?
He's the one got fired
Like,
there, and
like
came from
what?
West.
Like what was he doing? What was going
I
on?
not recruiting.
Goodness.
But yeah, it's rough there. But I think like you said, it's a place ripe to be a
Yeah.
solid program, and they've done it in the past.
Right. Yeah.
Cliff
We know.
Kingsbury, under
And
um,
Kevin Sumlin had a
yeah, Kevin
rolling.
Sumlin, yeah,
But but back to UNLV. So I mean, they smack. I mean, it was eye raising at the moment because man, they just shut up. They just dominated Houston. Wow, that's
mm-hmm,
cool. And then wow, they just beat Kansas. But a lot of that was the defense. That defense is actually pretty legit. Like I watched the
mm-hmm,
Kansas game, and that defense was phenomenal. The offense was but dude, Sluka was definitely not the. He was running the ball decently, but come on, bro. you
yeah,
you had maxed out you had maxed out getting to UNLV. Like you went from Holy Cross to UNLV, a big come up. Y'all were 3-0. Like just let the story play out. Like now you've completely screwed yourself. Like
yeah,
wow, it's just amazing
uh,
how things turn.
yeah. It's a weird,
But
this
the
is all
bigger
at the
story
end.
with that though is, man, that's gonna start becoming a bigger thing though. We've already seen other places
Mm-hmm.
as a defensive player from at Washington did that. He sat out before the Rutgers game. So he said things promised to him were not what was expected. And he just come from like I think San Jose State or something.
Well,
Um,
and this is going back. This is the failure of the NCAA to prepare for this and
yeah,
have guidelines and
right.
regulations and a structure in place for this to happen.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
this
They're
and
just like,
this
all
is
right, you guys want it? Here
exactly
you
what.
go. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
this is exactly what Nick Saban was talking about.
Yeah.
Anytime you listen to someone try to say Nick Saban retired because he didn't want to pay players, that's not true. He's always said he believed they
Oh,
should get their share. He just said it was the way it's set
it's got to be
up.
a
It's
system.
yeah, and this is exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah, you can't go from one extreme to the other
Mhm.
extreme. We
No.
went from the schools having all the power to now the players have all the power,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously you have to meet in the middle somewhere. Until
Yeah.
that happens, it's gonna be a lot of this is gonna happen. Time and again.
Mm-hmm.
A player doesn't like how the season's gone. They're not 4-0, and
Yeah.
they're gonna bounce. They're gonna sit out. Same time though, on the other side, these players are demanding things. The money's gonna start demanding things too. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about it before. You guys aren't winning. You're underachieving. You threw 4 interceptions last week, and we just gave you $100,000.
Yeah,
We're gonna fire
exactly.
that ass.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's two sides to every story, but man, it's gonna be interesting how where this goes because so it seems like as there's been a certain spots, a lot of money's been invested, and the return has not been um, well what it should be, and we're looking at you, Florida State.
Yeah. Oh
We're looking
man.
at you,
Yeah.
DJU, because
It's oof.
I think he got quite the bank to go to go to Tallahassee, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
but anyway,
And
that's it.
every garnet and gold wearing fan is wishing they had gotten Cam Ward instead. I'm sure.
Like, I
Um.
just want to know what actually happened with that, like, because it seemed
mm,
like they were the front runner,
yeah.
and then
For
Miami
a
just came
while,
in
it
out of
seemed like.
nowhere. Yeah, it seemed like it was go to, and he was gonna go to the league, and then it was
Maybe,
back to the college,
maybe he knew something. Who knows?
yeah, maybe he did. Yeah, maybe he saw it and was like, well, yeah, absolutely not. Who knows? But man, it's just wild how things play out. But yeah, this whole NIL thing, man, it's gonna be wild while they figure things out.
Mhm.
They got to come up to, got to find a happy medium because extreme either way is not gonna work out
No.
as we've seen. But
But yeah, getting back on the field. One more thing I have before a quick SEC roundup. Michigan is just decided to never pass the ball again, and it's working for them.
it's working.
A win over
It-
USC last week where they had 32 yards passing,
yeah,
and then this week, just
got a little
hammered.
scared.
Got a little scared from Minnesota. They were hammering them
Yeah.
early.
Was it like 24-3 or 10? And it was like, yeah,
They
this
were
is
up like
over.
21-0, something like that.
Yeah.
Even yeah,
I
they
was like,
were.
yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, this is over. And then you look and you're like, what? See, I got a little scared, but yeah, they're just decided, man, we didn't we can't pass for shit. We're just gonna run. It's
Yeah,
worked.
and it's worked for
I
them.
mean, yeah,
So we'll see how that goes against teams with a little more offense once they play Ohio State down the line. But
yeah. But
uh,
hey, it's working for them, and
yeah,
honestly, their schedule ahead is not the toughest.
yeah,
Um,
they can still
they've hit.
sneak into the playoff there. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you gotta look. I mean, they have that game against Washington. It doesn't seem as scary anymore.
no, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think
Washington's
so.
their own struggles there.
Yeah.
Uh, but let's get to the SEC because Georgia Alabama wasn't the only big
No.
story from yesterday. It just clouded everything else. But some
Right.
other pretty interesting results. Arch Manning made his first ever start, right, or first SEC start.
Right.
Struggled a little bit early, slow to get
Yeah.
going,
A
but
little
hmm
little closer than what the first half. You're like, what's going on
yeah,
in Austin?
against
Like this
a
is
bad Mississippi State team too. But they turned it on
yeah
second half, did what they
yeah
should do, and
out of business.
won comfortably. Didn't cover, but won comfortably.
Yeah. Didn't
And
cover.
then the big one of the day, besides Alabama,
Oh
Kentucky
wow.
goes into Oxford and beats
And
Ole Miss,
gets the
shuts that offense down. Just
all the way. Wow.
yeah,
Just a
just
uh, and
slog
they're the
a
most
rock fight. Yeah.
yeah. And Kentucky's the most confusing team, maybe in the country right now.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
mean,
Their offense isn't looking good by any mean either.
no, their offense is. I don't know. Their offense is just not good, but it's worked. And obviously, Stoops learned his lesson and took way riskier fourth down, and they had no
Mm.
problem converting from their
Yeah.
own 20 some. Fourth and 8, no big deal to hit the big pass.
Yeah, went
But
real risky
yeah,
with that one. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, but it worked, and that closed out the game. But it's just like, man, but yeah, I mean, that's just a huge win for that program. I mean, this is a team that's
hmm
you know, should arguably should have beat Georgia, depending how you look at it. But
hmm
right there, they had that opportunity, and you're like, man, and then, you're thinking, how are they going to bounce back? And that's just a tough loss. And then they're going to a and Oxford against the Ole Miss team that I mean it could get ugly because if Ole Miss can score,
Mm.
Kentucky doesn't have the can't answer.
No,
like,
yeah.
uh,
If
uh,
they let it become a shootout, yeah, they didn't have the
yeah, it's
horses,
over.
but they did a
But that
great job of
defense,
bottling. They
they
just
did a
yeah.
great job. They shut down Ole Miss in every aspect. Like every time you think Ole Miss is gonna get going, they get shut down.
Hmm.
And just waiting for Ole Miss to turn it on, and it never happened. And kudos to the Kentucky. I mean, obviously they came in ready to go and showed that
Hmm.
they're a team you can't overlook.
Yeah, and they
Um,
they get some momentum going. They have a bye next week. Then they have Vanderbilt at home and Florida and Auburn before their tough November where they get Tennessee,
yeah,
Texas, and Louisville. But they
jeez.
can make some
Yeah,
headway and
they
get
can. Yeah, for sure. But
But
you win,
mhm.
for them. But at the same time, you wonder, man, maybe
Terrible loss for Ole Miss. Yeah.
a horrible loss because I mean, they that was a loss they couldn't have. I mean,
Hmm.
this is their year. To, I mean, everybody's on the hype train. I mean, their first 3 weeks, obviously they haven't played anybody and they just slaughtered everybody. And
Hmm.
but so
But
we'll see how they
elsewhere in the
rebound.
SEC, yeah, yeah, Ole Miss gets who
Going
do
to
they have
South
next week?
Carolina now, I believe.
Yeah, South Carolina. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, if
Yeah,
Sellers is back for South Carolina or not, that could be a tricky one. We'll see.
it's in Columbia, so
Yeah,
that'll be.
yeah, tough place to play. Yeah. Elsewhere in the SEC, LSU had no problem with South Alabama. Arkansas, Texas A&M played a good one. A&M won
Wow.
it late. Really good game though.
It seems like the same script every time, though. Arkansas
Mm,
gets out to a lead,
mhm.
A&M fights back, and then Arkansas finds a way to mess it up in the end.
Yeah,
It's every time. Like, I think they've
yeah.
lost 12 or 13, and they've had a lead in every one of them of
It's
those
rough,
losses.
but I
And
think they
that,
found their formula on offense at least. I think
yeah.
going forward, Arkansas now that we'll see. They host Tennessee next weekend,
Oof.
so big 6:30 game on ABC. So that prime time, the lights are on you. We'll see what you can do there. A&M, good
Uh,
win. They host
good
Missouri next
win.
week.
Hmm.
So a big game for them next week. Mike Elko.
Big game
They're
for
actually,
both programs.
yeah, tough road game for number 9 Missouri. All that preseason hype. But
They've had
one
some.
more before we go. One more team that haven't talked about. The Fighting Hugh
oh,
Freezes.
oh, buddy.
A terrible loss. A week after they, what was last week for them? Was that the Arkansas game? Yeah,
Arkansas. That was an Arkansas game.
a terrible,
Absolutely.
just 4 interceptions, 5 turnovers, embarrassing. A loss at home to Arkansas.
Just
Nothing you worked.
humiliating.
Yeah.
Just
Through the
humiliating.
tried the new quarterback that didn't work out. They went
No,
back to
hands
Peyton Thorne
down.
this week, and
Just as
actually,
bad.
for a while, yeah, just bad, but a 21-10 lead in the fourth quarter.
And I thought,
Looking like
man, they got
things
it.
are going to go their way, and then Peyton Thorne throws a pick six.
Peyton Thorne.
And it's
Oh, wow.
Hugh Freeze after the Arkansas game threw his players under the bus, his quarterbacks in particular.
Oh,
Bo
wow.
Wallace, I think I mentioned something on the Taking on
Yikes.
Sports Twitter feed. Bo Wallace basically said, like, I have tons of
He
stories I could tell, but
cooked you, Freeze.
he
It's like,
cooked him.
where
He
is this coming
basically said
from,
Hugh
Bo?
Freeze does not give a shit about you unless you're winning.
Yeah, he
He
said he would
said,
not send his son there for
yeah,
any
and that was
reason.
a big thing. He said
Oh,
he's credit. He's a great play caller. He's like he did a lot for me, but when it came down to it, like he has never once checked on me after I've left. He didn't help me
yeah.
out rehab on my shoulder, and he's like I would never send my son to play for Hugh Freeze, and I think that's a big indictment from a
I
former
mean, you're a
player.
starting quarterback, not just
And
a
then
third string walk on. Somebody
yeah,
that, man. but
Yeah.
your starting quarterback, who was your first big win of
Yeah.
your
Yeah, got you that win
SEC,
over Alabama.
yeah,
And like I said, not a good. And that was after the Arkansas game. They come in, they get
yeah,
Oklahoma. Oklahoma's first road game in the SEC. Hey, welcome to Jordan Hare, and it looked like some of that Jordan Hare a
magic,
magic. You would go, they had the old win probability. They were at 90%
yeah.
with under 5 minutes to go, and then, like we said, pick six, just a crushing, just and threw it right to him. Horrible. It's not like it was a great
Oh
play, where
no,
he
it's
he
terrible.
fooled him or he made a great read. No, he just threw it
No,
right to him, and
right
the
to
easy
him,
easy return, 63-yard
the
pick
pick
six.
six,
And then after
and
that, you don't have any confidence in Auburn offense right
no,
now to
no,
lead a comeback, go down the field.
absolutely not. Got
Uh-uh.
sacked, got sacked a couple times to close out the game, and that
Yeah.
was it. But
And,
I mean, it's just going bad from worse
mm. And
in
we mentioned
Auburn. I
next
mean,
week that listen to the next three games at Georgia next week. Then they
a
get a
mad
bye.
Georgia team, a
Yeah,
mad
at
Georgia
Georgia.
team.
A pissed off Georgia team. Things are going to go bad for Auburn in that game.
Oh my god.
And then they get a bye week. Then they go at Missouri, and then they
Oh,
go at Kentucky.
oh,
And then you think they get a respite and they get Vanderbilt at home, but remember that's a quarterback that's
Vanderbilt's an improved
beaten Hugh
team.
Freeze twice in the past couple years now.
Yes.
And Vanderbilt, yeah, they're a solid team this
I
year.
mean, this is
Vanderbilt
a
is,
Vandy team that should have honestly beat Mizzou.
they absolutely should have. Yeah, this is not a
This
pushover
is not,
Vanderbilt team,
no.
and we've talked about
There,
it before.
there may not be a win for Auburn in the SEC this year. Let's just be honest. There may
You,
not
you
be.
you're absolutely right. We just mentioned those four games, and then they get UL Monroe, and then their last two after that they get A&M at home, and then they got to go to Tuscaloosa for the Iron Bowl. You
Yeah.
tell me with confidence,
Which one?
exactly. Yeah,
There's
which one?
not.
There is not one. Yeah, Vanderbilt's your
Because
best bet, and
honestly,
again, that is a quarterback that has beaten a Hugh Freeze team two times
yeah.
already,
And,
and that is a
and
Vanderbilt team that is playing
it's
hard,
much
good
improved.
football.
They're playing well. Like they could be undefeated right now.
And who knows how Auburn comes in that game? You assume they're going to
Yeah.
lose at Georgia. It's pretty safe assumption they're going to
Yeah, I
lose
mean
at Missouri.
may have
And
already
yeah, they might
shut
they
down
might
for the
be
season.
yeah. At that point, say they do lose those three games, that means you're
They're shutting it
two and
down. They have
six. Yeah,
nothing to play for.
you're 2 and 6. Is
They
there talk about Hugh Freeze's job status? We've talked about you know not only
they paid
obviously the quarterback season situation is
like
horrible, but was Hugh Freeze the right call over Cadillac? Cadillac, not an X's and O's guys, not the
but he would have put a
experience.
staff around him. You get the guys around him listening to the experience.
Exactly. What you save and having to pay Cadillac, you pay for top notch
Yes.
coordinators that
And I
handle the
guarantee you
X's and
there's
O's.
not and I guarantee you no one would have anything bad to say about Cadillac.
No, and the players will play hard for him. He probably
Yeah,
would kill on the
absolutely.
recruiting trail.
Absolutely.
It seemed like a slam dunk for them. And sometimes
Seemed
you're like,
like it.
oh, emotional hires, but no, they could have made
No.
the
You
smart
put great
play.
assistants around you.
Yeah.
You put a
And
great
look,
assistants around them, man,
uh huh.
without no character issues. And on top of that, the other thing about you, Freeze, not only did they lose to Arkansas, but then he said, if we
No.
play them 9 more times, I guarantee we win 9 of them. What are you doing, bro?
With what
What are
offense?
you
Yeah, he just keeps embarrassing himself too. Yeah,
like? You keep it's like they're giving you
go
the shovel, and you just keep digging. You keep digging, and
go win
man,
a game
it's
before you talk.
like, bro, like that sounds like some fan stuff on like you'll find on the on
Message board, yeah.
but yeah about 20 on 3 or 24/7 message board from a rabid fan. Understandable. They're a fan.
Hmm.
You're the head coach, second biggest school in the state, and
Yeah,
you're making comments like that. If we play the Arkansas 9 more times, they win. Now Peyton Thorne probably throws 10 more interceptions.
it's ridiculous. Yeah,
It's
we
just wild.
as Alabama fans, we'll laugh about it. It's little brother. Hey, like they're you know at the end of the
But
day, we care about championships, but we look at them like it's funny. But as a college football fan, we've talked about programs on here before, like UCLA, Texas A&M,
yeah,
programs that have no excuse for the lack of success in their history.
No.
programs that, with their resources, their situation, be it
Yes.
geographical, whatever, should be among the true
All the
big time
time.
blue bloods. Auburn won national title in the past 70 years, and that was because Cam Newton put that team on his back and carried them.
Yeah.
People might not remember how awful that defense was that year. People might not remember. It'd be hard pressed to name one other player on that Auburn team, I bet, for a lot of people, that aren't Auburn fans or SEC fans.
Yeah.
And then they
Because
even
in
followed that up by not doing much. They made the BCS title game
2011,
a few years
terrible.
later. Yeah,
The 2011
terrible.
team was terrible. 2012 team, absolutely horrendous. They
They got
fired their
the
coach.
Yeah, they fired their national title winning coach. They do make it back to the BCS title game the first year under Gus, but
Gus.
then tough loss to Florida State. No shame in that. And then you get the up and down of the Gus Malzahn experience, and they fired him when they probably shouldn't have because
No, absolutely not.
yeah,
Because, I mean, you have to realize sometimes who you are.
mhm,
And that's the thing. Some schools just don't realize who they are. And even the stranger thing about it was, the Gus, for what it's worth, gave us all the problems in the world. I
mhm,
hate it. Like you just knew that Gus had some shit cooked up for us, and
yeah,
it was just we struggle with Gus for whatever reason every year. But it was those other games outside of that did him in, going and
yeah.
losing some horrible games and yeah,
Well,
but
and it was them seeing, the administration seeing Alabama,
yeah,
the Nick Saban success, and then seeing
yeah,
Kirby go to Georgia, and all of a sudden they were
happened
appearing in title games,
right.
and then
But I mean,
but
honestly, I mean, anytime Auburn has done anything in our lifetime, outside of the 2004 season, because that team was legit. Let's just be honest, that team was
mm-hmm,
legit. It's been fluke stuff. Cam Newton is a once in a lifetime thing, and even then, it took a whole bunch of fluke stuff to win that year.
yeah,
2013, the flukiest stuff ever. The game against the pass against Georgia, the kick six. Like
mm-hmm,
it was just the wildest shit that happened to even get them in that opportunity to win that. I mean, nothing. They never win anything straight up.
yeah,
Like it's always wild,
and it's
outlandish.
it's systemic. It's like they
Yeah.
create. They took you can laugh and talk about Auburn Magic, Jordan Hare Voodoo, but the amount of money that school gets pumped into it, they're in a talent
Yes.
rich area for recruiting. They do
And
have history.
The Yellowwood
Yeah,
guy gives a shitload of money. They
yeah.
have the
What's his
Apple
name?
guy,
Jimmy
Tim.
Rain gives the money. Yeah, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, is an Auburn alum. They have the
Money.
name brand. They have money. They have
They
resources.
want to win, but they can't
Jordan
get out of
Hare's
their
a
own
great
way.
stadium to play. Jordan Hare's a great stadium.
Man,
Auburn does
when
have
this
its charm as a campus.
yeah,
They shoot themselves in the foot. They should be
they
a
they
much
do
bigger
the
program than they
dumbest.
are. Yeah.
They do some they've always done that though. I mean, that's their problem. They can't get out the people that make the decisions just do a horrible job. They've done a
Yeah.
horrible job.
They
They don't
continually
know
make
how
the
to
wrong decision. Yeah.
yes.
It probably
And
started with
then
firing Hugh Freeze. Brian Harson was a absolute wrong hire, and now it's looking
yeah,
like or that Hugh Freeze is the absolute wrong hire.
yeah.
And everyone talked about, oh, he's a QB guru. He'll make it work. Oh, the recruiting, this and that. And yeah, you got two great receivers, guys,
But
that are
guess
supposed to
what?
be equals. Who's throwing to them?
Yeah, exactly. And guess what? You think those guys are gonna stick around to see?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You
That's,
think
I
they're gonna
think,
waste their
mm,
talent with that? And you gotta
not.
look at it. All the possible quarterbacks that you could have brought in this past year.
Mhm,
For example, look what Syracuse is doing.
mhm,
Y'all didn't think at all to go after that man?
mhm.
You think if Auburn offers the I can't think of his name right now. I don't know why
Kyle,
not.
Kyle McCord.
Yeah, he's had a hell of a year at Syracuse. He was decent at, he just underachieved for what was expected at Ohio State. But you can't tell me that if you freeze offers that man a scholarship, that he's gonna say he's not gonna go there over Syracuse.
Or you let a guy like KJ Jefferson go to UCF instead of if he's
Yeah,
getting out there, what that's
like
perfect for Hugh Freeze offense, you know?
yeah, you don't even. I mean, are they making these calls and they're getting shot down? I don't think he's making the calls. I think Hugh Freeze is one of those guys who think he's the smartest guy in the room and he can make it work with anybody. Obviously,
Yeah.
because what he saw from Peyton Thorne last year should have been more than enough to say, "Hey, it's been we tried it. You're a great guy, but this is not working. You could be the backup, do what you want."
Mhm.
But honestly, we got to bring someone else in because you're not the guy.
Yeah. Um,
Right? It didn't
just
work like we thought. But even then, like you still nothing that Michigan State made me think would have made me think, man, that's the guy.
Mhm.
They had a hell of a year, but it clearly was a running game in the defense. Payne Thorne
Yeah.
just happened to be the quarterback. I, I I don't understand what the appeal was at all with him. I mean, it's funny now. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but jeez,
Yeah, it's
like
it's
what
it's
is
it's
what
rough
is going on?
and
Yeah,
it's not going to get better anytime soon.
no, it's not because you got to think about it. They went 2-2 in the easiest part of their schedule. Because honestly, going into the season, everybody thought, man, they're gonna, it's gonna be cool. OU's gonna come to town. They're gonna be undefeated. Them fools lost to Cal at home.
Mhm.
Cal may be a little better than what they expected, but still, that's an unacceptable loss.
Mhm.
As bad as Arkansas was last year, Auburn should not be losing them. Arkansas is much improved, but still, you're at
And
home.
not only that, the way you lost, it was just a terrible loss. You played
Terrible.
piss poor.
Yeah.
Um,
And then even this, and it got even worse because you were playing against the OU team who's in
mhm.
turmoil themselves. I
Mhm.
mean, they've completely, they don't know the direction of what they're doing. I mean, they went from thinking that Jackson Arnold was the greatest thing ever to that man may not even be at OU, may never play at OU ever again.
Yeah, right.
That's how dysfunctional they are.
They don't know their identity on offense. They're
No, at
looking, yeah.
all. I mean, they basically ran off their quarterback, who's now at Oregon doing big things again
Mhm.
because the NIL money said Jackson Arnold was the call.
Mhm.
And now Jackson Arnold may not even play at OU ever again. And we've been hearing about Jackson Arnold since he got recruited. He was a 5-star big name guy.
Mhm.
So something's not right at OU. And you had a chance to beat OU. You're up double digits against OU because
And the
that defense is
and
good at OU, but their offense is absolutely terrible.
yeah,
And you blew it. You absolutely blew it.
at home.
It was hilarious
Mhm.
watching, but man, just as an overall football fan, you're like, like this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Uh
Absolutely ridiculous.
yeah, absolutely rough loss for them. Um
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's probably good for the college game for this week. Um let's hit the NFL real quick. And a couple other things. Last week as we're gone, the Panthers finally they benched Bryce Young. Feel bad for our guy.
Oh
And
man.
there's probably a longer conversation we can have about the way the NFL just kind of chews these guys up, spits them out. You hope that Bryce gets another opportunity, whether it's in Carolina or somewhere else, maybe a
Yeah.
organization that's better suited to take care of him and develop him
Okay.
because Carolina's a mess. They got the win with Andy Dalton last week, and good for them. And then they came back, and Cincinnati finally got a win this week
Yeah.
by
But
beating
see,
Carolina. Yeah.
and that's the one thing that killed me about the whole with the Bryce Young thing, and
Hmm.
people been, oh, Andy Dalton came in and won, so it's obviously Bryce. Andy Dalton is also like a 10-year veteran in the NFL. He's seen a lot
Longer,
of things in his, yeah, I mean, he's been
15
there.
even. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he came out of TCU in what 2010, 2009, 2010, somewhere in
Some.
there.
Yeah.
He's seen a shitload of NFL. So
Hmm.
he should be better than Bryce Young. He should be able to come in and even with in a shitty situation be somewhat okay because he's had a whole NFL career. Why wouldn't he
Hmm.
be better? I mean,
Yeah.
just off
Of
the
course,
experience.
yeah, of course he's going to understand the offense easily because he should. Yeah.
He's,
Uh,
he's over a decade in the NFL as a starting quarterback. Why? Of course he's like, come on, folks are ridiculous.
and
I hate it. But you know what? I also like. I like I hate that the Michigan quarterback got hurt, but I
mhm,
like that Sam Darnold is in Minnesota balling
mhm,
right now because that was a man that got spit out
mhm.
ridiculously. He was supposedly trash. Terrible situation in New York. Went to Carolina, wasn't good, and now he finally has talent around him. And guess what? The Vikings
Undefeated,
are
four
playing
zero.
great
Yeah,
football right now. So
yep. That
great,
was
it's a great story.
yeah, it was a good call because that was on my list of notes. Vikings 4-0,
Yeah,
one of only what three unbeaten teams,
yeah,
four unbeaten teams. The
exactly.
Chiefs, well, three because the Bills are about to lose their first game to
Yeah,
Baltimore here. But the Chiefs, the Seahawks. What Seahawks play tomorrow night, right?
yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, yeah, great story for in Minnesota. Good for Sam Darnold, and you hope that Bryce Young gets another opportunity like Sam Darnold gets. He goes
Yeah.
somewhere. I mean, even you hope he starts
I mean,
again. Like
even
I said, even if it's in
right.
Carolina, but you just don't get the sense that that situation's ever going to get
No,
better
ever right.
with
No.
that ownership in front office. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see him get out and hopefully,
yeah,
sit under somebody, learn, and get a second opportunity. I don't know if it happens or not, just
hmm
because not everybody gets that opportunity. Who knows how it'll play out? But I
yeah,
mean, you look at it too. I mean, another guy that's been spit out and act like he was so terrible is Baker Mayfield. I mean, look
and
at
look
Baker
what he's
now.
doing. Baker, huge day, beat the hell out of the Eagles today.
Yes.
Bucks are 3-1 in charge of the NFC South.
Yeah, and then he
Uh,
was the guy. He was the
mhm,
scapegoat, and let's blame everything
mhm.
on him in Cleveland.
Yeah,
Come on,
and
and now
and
look at
now you
Cleveland.
and exactly, and look at
Now look
Cleveland.
at him.
That's yeah. They lost to the Raiders today. Deshaun Watson
Yeah, a
again just does
mess.
not look great.
No,
This is not a he's lost it. There's nothing else to
he
say on
doesn't
the
have
field.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
they spent
obviously,
all that guaranteed money for him. They have guys like Mari Cooper and Jerry Judy and
yeah,
what the tight end Joku. Um,
yeah,
they have
a lot of
so much
talent,
talent around them. Yeah, Nick Chubb's hurt obviously, but that's a team that
a lot of
shouldn't be
talent there.
struggling on
It shouldn't
offense the way
be
that they are. Uh-uh.
no, absolutely pathetic.
What else I have in my notes here? Of course, last week we had the old taking on Sports Bowl. The Ravens beat the Cowboys. They tried to give it. They tried to give it back to them.
We try to
Oh
get back,
man.
but I mean, that I don't even know what to say about Dallas right now.
Well,
We
they
can't stop it down. We can't
came
stop a
back.
nosebleed.
Nope, got a win over the Giants, and then
Yeah.
got the Steelers on Sunday Night Football next week yourselves. That's the Ravens
Yep,
officially
but
finish off the Bills here to get back to
yeah,
2-2, give the Bills their first loss, and a big lead for Baltimore that they didn't blow.
and they
So
held on. Hey,
yeah,
that's
that's
progress.
exactly. Well, the big thing the last 2 weeks is they remembered that they signed Derrick Henry in the offseason and decided to
Yeah,
feed him. And he had a
yeah, he
monster
cooked
game
us.
against Dallas last week, and then what 80 some yard run on the first
80s,
play
the
from
new,
scrimmage just tonight.
yeah, set the new Ravens record.
Yeah, longest run in Ravens history.
And
Um,
honestly, cool enough that the other Alabama, the fullback McLean
oh,
had,
LaRon
had
McClain, yeah,
LeBron had the record with
against Dallas too.
mhm, funny
uh,
enough. But yeah, I
he had
mean,
a
so
well.
two
That's a
two
weird.
Bama
That's one of
guys.
those weird situations right there.
Yeah.
Baltimore is like 8-1 all time against the Cowboys. It's just one weird
Yes,
random.
yeah.
I think
I
somewhere
think
said it's the worst
you guys
record
shut
the
down.
Cowboys have against any other team, and it's just
Yeah. You guys shut down Texas Stadium with the
yeah. That
last.
that was that was the LaRon McClain game. He had
Yeah, that was a
two
great
long runs in that
LeBron.
game, but
LeBron absolutely cooked us.
it was a weird time.
Oh,
LaRon McClain was Baltimore's lead back for a short while. It was like him and Willis McGahee in the
yeah.
early Joe Flacco years. Yeah, I remember. I had work that night, and I went to the bar and I was looking at the highlights. I'm like, oh, let's see what happened here. And all of a sudden, oh, look at that long run. And I assumed it was Willis. And all of a sudden, it's like, that's fucking LaRon, man. Like, and then he did it
Hey,
twice.
LeBron. Hey,
Hey, he
LeBron,
was a Pro Bowler. He was a Pro Bowler in Baltimore. So,
he's a hella very underrated
uh
back.
huh,
And you have to think, man, as good as he was in the league,
yeah.
I basically wonder why do we have him as a fullback in college?
Oh
Why
man,
was he a fullback?
and only a
Like he
couple
could have been
plays. I remember.
a
Yeah, you
but
could have
when
had
he
him like
got the ball,
a.
he had some big he had some but man,
Yeah,
he could have been a feature back. Like
yeah, he could, or at least another like a Thunder Lightning thing. Yeah, we could
yeah.
have him, and because he was blocked for guys like what Shawn Williams maybe,
Yeah, Shot
uh,
Williams and Ken Darby.
Ken Darby. Yeah, oh man. So yeah,
Man,
that could have
but
been. Hey,
he
well.
didn't have near enough touches, I don't think.
Mhm,
But we had a lot we had like a plethora of running backs that were okay, but no one was amazing. I mean, Beard was okay, Galloway um was okay. Shot Williams was little, but he was fast as shit. But like LeBron was a star. Like we should have he should have had way more touches. He
mhm.
just was in the wrong era. I don't know, but yeah, but on yeah, but I mean, you guys after that 0-2 started bounced back well.
Mhm.
Good win against the Bills tonight, and as dominant as the Bills looked last week against a horrible Jacksonville team, but nonetheless they looked really good last week, and then you guys
Mhm.
blow them out this week. I mean it, and that's the thing about the NFL this year. It's one of those. It's kind of like the Big 12 right now. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of my notes. It's just like it is one of those years in the NFL.
Like
Like,
there's like no dominant team. Like yes, the Chiefs are still undefeated,
but
but
they lost Rasheed
unfortunately,
Rice tonight.
yeah, that probably
And
torn ACLs
yeah,
looking like. I mean, Travis Kelsey has yet to show up this season,
hmm yeah.
and yeah, they're
Teams you thought would be dominant, Jaguars are 0-4. People thought they would be another playoff,
terrible
and now people are questioning whether Trevor Lawrence is a
as a
starting.
bust. Is Mac Jones going to get another opportunity? We'll see. But no, it's too much money invested in Trevor right now. But who knows? Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, Cincinnati, another team that people were high on coming into the season, absolutely terrible.
Yeah, Cincinnati looks. Shook it off today, but it was Carolina. So,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
what
not
can you
saying
really
much.
tell from that? The Broncos went into New York and beat the Jets in just an ugly game. The Colts, the Steelers were unbeaten, and the
Did you
Colts beat them
see?
today.
Right.
The
Yeah, that.
the Rams can't
Did,
keep anyone healthy. Uh,
no, absolutely, that's ridiculous.
mm,
But did you see? I think Bo Nix had -7 yards passing
at
today,
one point, he was. I did because I texted some friends about the exact stats. Where were they? Here it was hilarious. At one point, he was 7 of 15 for -7 yards passing.
and they somehow
Uh,
win the game.
and they won. Yeah, they beat Aaron Rodgers and the
Jesus,
Jets. It was just one of
the
those
weather was
days.
terrible.
Yeah, it was
I
a
mean, the
terrible.
weather was terrible, but man, that's just wild,
Still
just
just
wild.
wild, ugly game. I have a
Yes.
feeling. A couple of the. They're doing that two Monday night games again. That Titans Dolphins one might get pretty ugly too. Still no Tua. Will Levis has not been good this year.
Well, Levis is terrible, and then, that was another thing. Talking about guys who got spit out without
Mhm.
giving them an opportunity. Good for Malik Willis, back up
Mhm.
now in Green Bay, but went into Tennessee and got the win last week against
Got
them.
yep, little
Boom.
revenge game. Called that one in
Yeah,
our picks column. And
but
there was
what?
one.
Like that was another guy. I don't know why he wasn't even given a full season. Like they're like, oh,
Yeah, Will
we're on to Will
Levis.
Levis. It's like what?
It's ridiculous. And then on the other end of the spectrum, a team that looks like they got it right with their pick, the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels,
Oh wow!
is just has that offense fucking
Oh my
humming.
god!
Uh,
And man, I mean they gotta. I mean, I thought today's game would be somewhat interesting. Kyler Murray versus him, and the Arizona offense was looking legit last weekend. Whew, man, the Commanders housed them today. Was it 42-14?
Yeah,
Just
and they just
yeah, but
uh
he's on another level right now. Like for yeah, they definitely hit it right, and that now the Bears are looking like, why do we have Caleb?
yeah. Although they did get a win today somehow.
They did get a win.
Yeah, ugly win over the Rams because, like I said, they're just the Rams have no one
Yeah,
healthy at
but
all.
that
So
last week on that Monday Night Football game, what did Jaden only have like two incomplete passes? It was ridiculous last
something
week.
ridiculous. And then they said this stat at some point today. They hadn't punted since like week 1 or something.
Yeah,
And they said they had scored a touchdown or a field goal on every offensive drive, like for like
right.
15 straight drives, not counting into half or into game drives.
And the
Uh,
crazy thing is,
and I
there's
don't know
not
if they
like it's a plethora.
I don't know if they
It's
punted
not a
today.
no. I don't think they did. And it's not. I mean, they and it's nothing amazing about this. It doesn't. It's not like he has a great star power around him. I mean, it's just. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's got
but he's
Terry
just a
McLaughlin's a good, a
yeah. He's a
good,
good player, but
Brian Robinson's a solid back. But yeah, there's no superstars on that team
superstars.
around him.
Except
Yeah,
maybe him, because
yeah.
man, he is absolutely killing it. And as a Cowboys fan, I'm like, man, what the hell?
Well, they
uh,
actually did end their streak today after they scored
they had to
touchdowns on their
punt.
first 2 drives. He threw an
Uh,
interception, and then they punted on the next drive.
mm,
But then after
yeah.
that, they scored on the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drives they had. So,
Mm,
um,
jeez, yeah,
yeah.
just
So
crazy.
Washington team to look out for in the NFC East this year. With the Eagles struggles and the Cowboys up and down, and obviously the Giants are
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
Um,
Giants are absolutely terrible.
but yeah, you called it after.
Yep.
We're almost a quarter of the way through the season, and no idea how anything's going to pan out.
No, absolutely not. Like it makes, who knows? And I'm done betting the NFL because I can't figure it out. It's just been crazy, just wild.
uh,
I mean, like I had a parlay going today. It was, the one loss, no big deal. It was the Jets
mhm,
losing to the Broncos, no big deal.
mhm.
I mean, who knows? Like it's just wild. Um, but yeah, who
Yeah.
knows about the NFL? But they've been saying. I think it was Herm Edwards was talking on some radio show I listened to today. Just how the NFL's like this now that no one plays in the preseason. Until you get to
Mhm.
week 4 and 5, you really don't know about teams. In
Yeah.
essence, you'll start things will start getting a little more normal. You'll start figuring things out because the good teams will start actually showing up as the team that they're supposed to be. It
Yeah.
may not always be the case, but yeah, it seems like that might be some of that might have a little truth to it because it's a lot of things. I'm just like, what is going on?
Mhm. Uh, but yeah, yeah. We'll see where the wacky NFL season takes us.
Yeah,
Uh, moving on. Let's wrap up real quick because some other non-football stuff happened past couple weeks too. We'll start baseball as the regular season sort of wrapped up today for all but 3 teams, 2/3. Um, Playoff spots. We know the AL set. The Yankees are your
yeah,
number 1 seed. The Guardians are your number 2 seed. The Yanks will play the winner of the Orioles and Royals series. And then the Guardians will play the winner of the Astros and Tigers series.
interesting.
Yeah, an interesting field right there. The National League's a little bit cloudier. We knew the Dodgers. We know the Dodgers are your 1 seed. The Phillies your 2 seed. Those who's are getting
Mm-hmm.
your
Goodbyes.
buys. The Padres are the 4 seed. The Brewers are the 3 seed. We know that much. The 5 and 6 seed, we won't know until as you listen to this Monday. A doubleheader on Monday between the Braves and Mets. It was supposed to happen this week, but the hurricane forced a reschedule. A lot of criticism of MLB's handling of it. Why didn't they move things up? Or they knew this. They could have seen the forecast too. But with today's results, the Braves, won their first two games against the Royals this weekend. All they needed was a win today or a Mets or Diamondbacks loss, and they would have clinched a spot. Well, the
All right.
Braves lost today. The other two teams won. So New York and Atlanta do have to play a doubleheader tomorrow in
Double
Atlanta.
header. Yeah.
However, the D backs might actually be in the worst spot for this because the Braves and Mets both just need a win tomorrow. They don't have
Right.
to sweep the doubleheader, nothing. The Diamondbacks need one team, doesn't matter who, to sweep the doubleheader. The problem with that is whoever wins game one between the Braves and Mets tomorrow, they clinch a playoff spot. They're in. So they have no incentive to play hard in game two. They, rest starters, throw the bullpen, throw a bullpen game, or some minor leaguer you got called up to start, or
Yeah.
position players, whoever, which would
Yeah.
you would think lead to an easy win for the loser of game one. So the D backs are in a tough spot because
Yeah.
like I said, the winner of game one tomorrow clinches a spot.
And
So
they had no reason, no
yeah, no.
reason to.
So it'll be interesting. We do know, however, that the Braves own tiebreakers over both. So if they win, they get in. They will be the 5 seed. So they would play the Padres, and then the Mets or D backs would be the 6 seed and play at the Brewers.
Hmm.
And the Mets also hold the tiebreaker over the D backs as well. So
So Arizona
yeah, like I said,
not looking
Arizona
good.
need. That's why they need
They're in a tough
a
spot.
team to sweep tomorrow, and it just doesn't look like that's something that will
No.
realistically happen.
You
Um,
know, and good. For your Braves though, I mean, the thing could have fallen off completely there. I
mhm.
mean,
Well, yeah,
after
and
Acuna got hurt, and
a
and
testament.
then
Yeah,
they
Acuna, no Strider, shut down Austin Riley for the year. They lost uh, Ozzy Albies for a large portion of the year. The bats in
just
general just didn't have as good a year as last year outside
right,
of Marcelo Zuna. Um,
just
Matt,
a just
yeah,
a
Matt
crazy thing.
Olson.
But then you guys stuck to what you had. You didn't go out in free agency and try to throw
Mhm,
some stuff together. You say, hey, we'll just run with what we got. And
mhm.
hey,
And
more
they
than
have,
likely,
a dangerous
in the
pitching
playoffs.
staff. Yeah, if they get in the
Yeah,
playoffs, that's a very dangerous pitching staff with starters and bullpen. And
right,
you never know, those bats could do just enough where they could come alive. Because Matt Olson was starting to heat up here over the last month of the season.
right.
Michael Harris
And
is back from injury and healthy and starting to find his swing. Ozzy Albies is back.
yeah, and we've seen plenty of teams going to run out of that opening
Exactly.
wild
Yeah.
card. So who knows?
So yeah,
Who
baseball
knows?
playoffs should be fun this week and crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
And then a couple, just to finish up real quick, couple big stories out of the NBA. Last week, the ultimate Woj bomb. Uh,
Oh, it's
Wojciechowski,
gone.
Woj retires from journalism. He takes a job as the GM of the St.
Yeah,
Bonaventure Athletic
the
Department.
Bonnies. Yeah,
Yeah,
his alma mater. Yep.
his alma mater, and he seems at peace with the decision. Like he's happy and to get away from that grind. So good for him. We'll certainly miss him as fans.
Man, he always you knew.
Always had a scoop, and it's
Yeah.
Shams world now.
He seems like it. Is he gonna get to is he going to ESPN or
Right now, I don't know how much the Athletic pays him. One thing I've seen that they said might replace him would be Jeff Passan, who's one of their lead baseball writers. I don't know if
oh, interesting.
maybe he's a big basketball fan or just has
Hmm.
connections, but
Wow.
we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, but yeah, Shams seems to be the
And
guy with all the stories now. And then of
yeah,
course we got
and then yeah,
the
Woj
big one.
retires, and of course we get a Woj bomb worthy trade. A few days later, a week later, is Carl Anthony Towns traded from Minnesota to the Knicks
Yeah, that's
for
big.
Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo.
And then
They go,
first round pick.
yeah, one of those first rounders they have. What do you make of this trade?
Man, I mean it was. There's always been. I don't know. It seemed like Cat was kind of out there. I don't. I
Hmm.
don't know if he really necessarily wanted to go himself, but obviously Minnesota was ready to get and go. Um, obviously, it's great for the Knicks. I mean, they got their guy, and that their starting five is a scary starting five right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Cat is definitely a floor spacer in that shooting. Great shooting big man. You could see a lot of pick and roll, pick and pop action with him and
he fits a
Brunson.
lot
Yeah.
better than I think than Julius Randle as far as in
Yeah.
that offensive scheme.
Uh,
Um,
The only thing there though is that he's been coached by Tom Thibodeau before, and they did not get along really in Minnesota. So
yeah,
that's something to watch. But
yeah, no,
um,
maybe they he's a little older now. Maybe I don't know. Maybe things go better the second time around. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's good for everybody to get a fresh start, and also
mhm.
let you know that you know you'd have to think. Obviously, minute did they as far as that goes with Minnesota, with moving on from Cat, it makes you like who all was in that was all in that meeting to move on from Cat. Was it just the front office? Because I
Yeah,
mean
is
that.
this
I mean,
did Cat maybe push for this? Because Anthony Edwards took that team over last year.
right. And
That's
yeah,
his team now.
Did Anthony Edwards say, "Hey, let's try something"? I mean,
I don't
'cause I
know.
mean,
Yeah.
for a while it seemed like Cat was the damn feature of the damn franchise, and man,
Hmm.
but maybe I don't know. It
But yeah,
was
they had
shocking.
and they had a moment there. The big
Yeah.
a couple. Look good in the playoffs. Upset Denver obviously. Or
Hmm.
but yeah, so they're pivoting already. So and obviously, I guess they just decided they couldn't live with their twin tower situation in today's NBA, and Rudy Gobert is
Jimmy
probably
Gobert. Yeah.
he's probably a lot harder to move than Carl Anthony Towns was. So,
Right. But changes
but
your offense a little bit though, because I mean,
yeah,
Cat, because the floor, and we know he can shoot from a lot. You
hmm
know, Gobert definitely does have the offensive. That puts a lot more pressure on him. I guess it was good for them to get DiVincenzo. We'll see what Julius Randle does in Minnesota. I mean, he might get numbers. I guess biggest thing with him too, though, can he stay healthy? Because I mean, that was the biggest downfall in New York. I mean, nobody can stay healthy, especially him. I mean, 2 years ago he was phenomenal. Got hurt. This past year we couldn't find him when they needed him the most with injuries. So, I mean, but I don't know how. I don't know. I mean, if he's healthy, but even then, I don't know how this move makes Minnesota better. I don't know.
yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how that works. I know Randall certainly has his talents. He's a
Yeah,
former All Star, but does he fit? And then now Cat's on the big stage in New York, the bright lights. So we'll see.
yeah.
And them dealing DiVincenzo way. That's part of that Villanova
The
Knicks.
Villanova Magic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. And he kind of
So.
fit. He had that that New York style. Kind of a
Hmm.
tough, tough guard.
Yeah.
Kind of the scrappy guy. He really fits that New York culture. I mean, I think he fits any franchise. I mean, if you want a DiVincenzo on your team. So
Hmm.
I think that's a good pool. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Because I mean, honestly, Cat seems like a little different guy. Seems a little sensitive at times. Doesn't always take criticism well.
Hmm.
And man, you're going to the Big Apple. they're gonna fry you if things don't go well. So
Yeah.
that's it's a. I would say, he had some issues with stuff in Minnesota, and Minnesota's a much friendlier market. Let's just say. uh, so yeah, I mean a big step up as far as the lights on you, but if everything works out, if they can stay healthy, that Knicks lineup is crazy, and that's a hell of a lineup
Yeah. That's definitely one that can
with
challenge
Bridges and I
Boston
mean,
and Philly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
It
they,
seems like
they,
yeah. It seems we have our 3-team race for the East this year. Yeah. Boston,
yeah,
Philly, and New York,
The
and then
Knicks.
depend and if Milwaukee can get healthy and turn things around, then
Right.
of course they're always right there. But
Right. Oh
yeah,
wow.
just interesting news on what was that?
Yeah,
Was
for
that
sure.
Friday when
Friday
that?
night.
Yeah, Friday night when that popped
Yeah, I
off.
was
So
watching that. So it was pretty much happened along with crazy Miami Vatek.
oh yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm scrolling. I see on Twitter. I'm just like, what? That's crazy. And then because at first, first thing was the underdog sports app. They shoot news sometimes, and I was like, what? Cat's going
Hmm.
to New York, and then I see Shams, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's true. And I'm just like,
Yep,
wow, that's wow.
crazy.
Yeah,
But
interesting.
yeah. Other than that, let's see. WNBA playoffs are rolling. They've been
Yep.
good so far. But yeah, we've been talking for a while now, so why don't we go ahead and get out of here? Greg, what has been done up real good for you lately?
You know, even though it was crazy, crazy ending. I mean, just the fact that we were able to, beat Georgia. I mean, that made my weekend there. Because like you said, we just didn't know how that game was necessarily going to go. We know the history we have over Georgia with
Hmm.
Nick no longer there, who knew for sure. But man, I think overall, even with the hiccups, I mean, I think we're in a good spot right now. So it's exciting to see us get that big win, and we'll see how they build off that. But can't
Hmm.
for what it's worth. I mean, we're in a much better this September than we were last September. Let's just say. How
For sure.
about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one thing in particular. I guess just like you said, good win football. Good for my Heisman prediction of Jalen Milroe. Um, it's just been a fun couple. Football season's been great. It was a great first month of football.
It
I mean,
was.
things like that we mentioned, that Colorado Hail Mary, just some crazy games like Miami Vatech or hell Alabama Georgia.
Yeah,
Wild
just a
NF,
just a
yeah,
lot of
wild,
wild games.
wild NFL season, and now we get to the thick of it in October. Conference play starting to pop off. The NFL
Yeah,
takes a little more shape.
hmm
Yeah, just a great time of year for football fans and sports fans in
yeah,
general.
for sure. Yeah, baseball
Yeah,
playoffs will
baseball
start,
playoffs.
and
Yep,
yeah. I mean,
and then NBA, NHL season's right around the corner. Uh,
yeah, it's a great time of the year.
but yeah, thank you, as always, folks, for listening. Do be sure to subscribe and give us good ratings on whatever platform you listen to us. Be sure to check out all of the podcasts on the Alabama Take family of podcasts. Be sure to check out the alabamatake.com. You can follow along with our Taking Bets column this year. How'd you do this weekend, Greg? I think I
Off the
went.
top of my head, I think I did okay. The only one
I think I
I'm
went
trying to
two
think,
and two. I'm trying to remember.
because I know that I know
Let's pull it up real quick here. Yeah. You got
they went
Colorado
two and
plus
two.
14. You got Illinois plus 17 and a half. You missed on Texas, that big
Yeah,
line. And then you had Texans -6. Did they get that?
yeah. No, they didn't
Oh, so
against
you,
the Jags. I thought they were gonna blow out the Jags, and it was a much closer game. But
yeah, so 2 and 2
two
weekend
and
for
two,
you.
yeah. But as
I
as
think,
bad as things started for me, I'll take a
mhm.
2 and 2 week.
Let's see. I think I actually might have gone 1 and 3. I got Colorado yesterday. I just missed the under in the Oklahoma Auburn game. That last field goal by Oklahoma uh, screwed me over. And then I had Utah, and of course that did not
No.
pan out at all. And then I
Ooh.
pushed today actually, so I am 1, 2, and 1 this week. I had the Chargers +7 today.
They lost by 7.
Yeah, little push.
Crazy.
Uh, let's see who else. Let's see. Blaine got Kansas State, did not get Texas, did not get the over in Ole Miss, Kentucky, um, and then did not get the Eagles today. So Blaine went 1 and 3 this weekend.
We needed that to happen because Blaine's kicking our
Yeah,
ass
as I
right
said,
now.
Blaine was starting to run away with it for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, Mallory, who came into the week at 7-8, she did not get Michigan after all, right? Because Michigan ended up minus 10.5. Michigan ended up
They won by 3.
blowing that lead, so didn't get that. Did get Tulane minus 5.5. That was a good pick on her part.
They
Did get
absolutely housed South Florida.
oh yeah,
Wow.
they hammered them. Yeah, they look like they are
Jeez.
just no bumps in the road transitioning to John Sumrall.
None
Oklahoma
at all.
plus 1.5, got that.
Got that.
And then today the Saints plus 3 at the Falcons. I know the
Mhm.
Saints lost, but I think that covered, right? Yep. So, look at that, a 3-1 week for Mallory.
Mm.
So she, I believe, that will tie her with. Oh no, she'll be right behind Blaine for the overall lead.
Oh.
So yeah, we need to pick it up.
Yeah, we do. Ha!
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, folks, thanks as always. Check out everything on the AlabamaTech.com, Alabama Take Family Up podcast. As always, tell your friends about us. You think they'll like us? Tell your rich friends about us or a business you know, and they can sponsor us.
Absolutely.
Keep it done up real good yourselves out there, folks. Greg, buddy, I will see you next time.
Yes, sir.